I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I grew older, I set aside childish ways. Corinthians 13:11. In the distant future, mankind has spread into the stars and found it is not alone. Within the cluster of planets known as the Silverain Heart, many races strive for survival or supremacy. But throughout this array of planets, societies, and cultures, each has one thing in common: the crucibles. Scattered throughout the galaxy, each moon-sized structure contains a core of raw sorin, a form of mysterious energy used to power ships, cities, and sometimes the warping of the fabric of reality itself. Beings who can do this have been given a name: Espers. The power of God has been granted to God's children. It is a time of terror. It is a time of wonder. It is the time of Esper Genesis.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts, to Day 14 of Esper Genesis Consigned to Oblivion, sponsored by Alligator Alley Entertainment. And we are coming to you live from PAX Unplugged. That is right. We are here with a thunderous studio audience. We are here with a thunderous studio audience, and I'm actually honored to be in the same room as the designers and developers of this game. They're with us and are here silently judging me as I attempt to run this game for all of you for the next couple of hours. And I'm also joined, of course, by one of the players, too, which I'll talk about in just a moment. Before I get there, just a couple of reminders about ways to support the stream. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. That is always really helpful. If you haven't done so already, please let people know about the channel by tweeting it out. Exclamation point ARV tweets will get you over to my Twitter, and exclamation point tweet will let you retweet the stream, which we have already sent out. Please do that. Spread the word. Let people know of the space opera magic coming to you live from Philadelphia. Exclamation point ARV tube will let you check out my past broadcasts on my stream on my YouTube channel. Exclamation point ARV shop will let you get over to the merchandise area, where you can check out a lot of stuff right now for Infinity and beyond, but also hopefully soon Esper Genesis stuff, as well as Adventures in Middle-earth and other things over there. Exclamation point ARV cord will get you to the Discord channel, where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. And then last but certainly not least, we've got the Patreon, exclamation point ARVTreon for that, and the subsystem, which is the button right above that video window, which will allow you to give inspiration to the players. This is the last day of November, so any of you who have got inspirations sitting there unused, now is the time. Smoke them if you got them. Not that there's any reason to believe that the party will need this at all, or that they've used up all of their good dice rolls before the stream doing Roll20 tests. None of that really happened just recently. recently. Yeah, please save us. Please save us. I am here at PAX Unplugged, and to prove it, I'm going to switch us over here. Wait for it. I'm actually going to wait. Let me unmute them first. Let me do that first.
Don't do that. That's always trouble.
If we unmute you. Okay, now I'm going to unmute them. So now they're going to be able to be heard. And now I'm going to... And there was immediately a resub. That's what I'm talking about. That is good stuff. Who did that? Who did that? Specchio. Hey, speaking of guys who know how to inspire people at the right moments. Yes, that is true. It was Specchio. Thank you, Specchio, so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the resub. And now, with no further ado, there they are. There is the crew right in front of you. And you can see I am here right in the middle of your screen. And you can see behind you, in case you were like, look, is you really coming from PAX? I'd like you to cast your eyes to Johnny's vid camera right now, which is, as Aramis, you can see there's not one but two authentic PAX scarves hanging from a TV, which is in the Alligator Alley wing. They have their own wing of the hotel. They have several rooms, and they've actually allocated one of those rooms for us, and so we get one of the rooms, and it was very sweet of them to be willing to do that. This is the servants' quarters, but it was nice that they were willing to let us do that. So, but yes, they are with us, and we are here and ready to go, and I hope you folks are looking forward to it. Just a fair warning, the internet here is a little shaky. And the sort of setup was a little bit shaky also, so I will be making some adjustments to Windows and things like that. So basically pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, yada yada. But we will, however, have some awesome role-playing for you tonight as we continue with Consigned to Oblivion. I also am going to have several announcements, and actually one of these announcements I'm going to make right off the bat in just a minute when I have Johnny introduce himself. The second announcement I'm going to save to a little bit later in the stream, but it is going to be very related to this company, actually, Alligator Alley, and it's going to be no proof to the rumor that I'm wearing a hat with an A, just to prove my respect, and also the Crucible Core shirt that they were nice enough to give me. So see, I've got that going on. But anyway, I'm very excited to actually be doing this project with them, so I'm going to announce that also. And then you will have the pleasure of watching these wonderful players play. And I think, now that I have everything said, so there will be a couple of frames dropped here and there. Please just stick with it. As I say, we're coming to you live from a hotel, near PAX, so it's going to be a little weird, but we will soldier on, and it will be awesome. So with that said, I'm going to start by allowing the players to introduce themselves as per usual, and I'm going to begin with a gentleman who is literally sitting next to me to my right, and I can confirm that he does exist. He is not a unicorn, but is in fact a real person, and I hung out with him and a bunch of other people, had dinner today. And that, of course, is Mr. Johnny Pittman, who is on the East Coast for the first time. So welcome, Johnny.
Wow.
How are you? How's life, university, everything? How has PAX been for you, like, so far?
PAX has been amazing. Like, I have met everybody that I have been gaming with for the last 2 years online, finally in one place, and it's been absolutely wonderful. PAX itself is an awesome event, and I'm gonna have to make it a yearly thing. It's ridiculous. I'm looking forward to tomorrow and Sunday full gaming. So yeah, it's been pretty badass. Otherwise, things have been good. The flight out here was also ridiculous, but fun. 5 hours across the country wasn't too terribly bad, but yeah, it was a good time, and I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the rest of the weekend. It's just going to be awesome.
Carlos says he thinks you only prove that unicorns exist.
Well, that's not
not
true.
that he's
Zach
the unicorn,
actually
but Zach proved that. Yes.
Proved that last time, so.
Yes. I revealed Zach's true age to Johnny today, and Johnny was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?"
I cannot believe it.
Yeah. So I gave him the info. But now, I want to give, before you introduce your character, I do want to give Johnny a chance to mention something, which is that Johnny and I are going to be working together in January with a particular thing happening on my channel. Would you like to just tease that slightly, Johnny? What is you doing?
Yeah, we're going to be, in January, we're going to start a new show, which is going to run bi-weekly. That's all the information is to be revealed coming soon, but yeah, we're going to start in January, probably the first or second week. So keep watching the details here and on Twitter, and it's going to be fun.
Yep, first or second week of January, he's going to be doing a show. He will be GMing it. I will not be involved in it. It's going to be on an off day that I do not normally stream. I am probably going to be watching a ton of it and lurking and stuff, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and this is only the first of several things like this that are going to be expanding the channel, but it is going to be happening in January. Also, and I think we can probably mention this too, in December, Johnny is also going to be doing a one-shot Esper Genesis session on this channel. I may or may not play in that, we will see. But it will be in the spirit of the holiday season. We'll just say that. It'll be a very special Esper Genesis Christmas. Very special Esper Christmas.
Rather than the Star Wars.
Yeah,
Special,
exactly.
That way.
So we're going to introduce a bunch of characters that you'll hate, and we'll sing some songs that you'll forget, and that'll be great. Anyway, it's going to be exciting. Give you the head on specific times and date you can make a premiere. Oh yes, we will. Trust me. I will. That will with bells on. We will promote the hell out of the January thing. But yes, so that is announcement the first. I'm very excited about that, and I'll make the second announcement, as I say, about Alligator Alley a little bit later on. So having said all that, Johnny, who are you playing today?
I'm playing Aramis, a Ashen Forged Melder who has a sort of middle world approach to everything and likes to get drunk.
And likes to get drunk. Yes, that's actually true. Overtime has had a lot of space liquor in many different places.
And tried to take as much of it away from other people, like Carlos's character.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, because that's a problem.
He's underage at cat, so it's probably benefit.
Yeah, no, you don't. Cats are not suitable for this. So I'm looking forward to hearing the stylings of Aramis as time goes on. Now, the next person on the window that you see there is Kat. Kat had something come up actually shortly before the stream. We still hope that she will be coming. The hope is that she will be here soon, but we don't know for sure. She is playing Petra Sinis, and this is literally something that happened just before, and it was a good reason. I'll just trust me. And so she hopes to be here before too long, but she is playing Petra Sinis, Ashen Forged Sentinel, but she is not able to be here at the beginning of the stream, so we will get there as time goes on. Moving right along, one of the people who to my right on the screen as you watch, someone that we hope might actually be with us here live at PAX, wasn't able to come down, but is still with us, here remotely, which is all that matters. And that, of course, is Carlos Hernandez. Carlos, good to see you, my friend. How are you doing? How's life with you not at PAX? How's New York? How's New York?
So yeah, I mean, New York is fine. I would much rather be at PAX Unplugged. It's a great event, and I would really like to be there, but I had a really good reason that I will be able to share with you in February as to why I wasn't able to be there, and it's a really cool thing. So we're being very hush hush today, a lot of secrets, but it was a really good reason, and so I just had to stay and work and stuff. So life is good. I mean, Greg, it's the end of the semester, and so right now basically it's all the papers.
Yep.
There are just so many grandmothers dying left and right.
Yes,
all over the
I know.
place.
It's a particular scourge at this particular time. There's actually an article I wrote that I saw that showed the incredible inverse proportion of deaths of grandmothers to exams. It really, especially the same grandmother dying multiple times, which is a particular tragedy. Like just semester after semester, the grandmothers die. So.
Oh my God.
In my case, since I teach necromancy, it makes sense. They just come back and anyway, it's a busy time of year, and sequels are due, and all sorts of cool stuff is happening. But it's all good. I still have time to play.
It's good. And speaking of playing, who are you playing today?
I am playing Ludicrous Sleepwell, a Valna, who is feeling much better about himself since he got to exercise his healing prowess in the last slug adventure, slug battle that we had. Yeah,
battling the space slug. Yeah, no, was really the MVV, the most valuable Valna, I would say, in that battle.
Yeah, I have to say, though, since the alligator guys are there, I just want to say Valna is something I've had to practice saying very, very carefully and very, very clearly, because there is a very easy way to slip that is maybe, it would be Twitch After Dark,
A very different kind of, well, I mean, listen, They were trying to. It was pandering on their part, but they needed to reach out to a broader audience, and this was a way to reach the Showtime Emmanuel crowd. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but it is good to have Carlos with us. As always, I look forward to seeing and hearing from Sleepwell today. And last but certainly not least, the gentleman whose age Johnny could not believe, and that of course is Mr. Zach Clay. How you doing, Zach?
How old I was?
Yeah, no, he's like. I won't go into it. Anyway, he thought you were older than you were. So I disabused him of that notion. And then he was like, that's because we were joking about the fact that we were the oldest people at this table. Like, you know what I'm saying? Millennials, right? Right? Who's with me? No, just joking. But how are you doing, Zach? How's life, the universe, and everything out with you?
I'm doing very well. I think it's funny because you, Gregory, you teach kids that are my age, and I teach middle schoolers and high schoolers.
Yep.
So it's this weird cycle. But
and
yes.
when you get to my age, you remember, young buck, this conversation, and I'll just
yeah. So yeah, I'm doing very well. Real life is keeping me busy, but every day is another opportunity to get better at being a human being. So. That's the constant struggle, but today I'm playing some good old Esper Genesis. I'm very excited. I'm going to be playing Cosmoritis, or Starboy, and
as he's more popularly known.
Yes, that's my stage name. Who is a Bellare hunter, and he has a sniper rifle. That's all you need to know.
Yes, and he knows how to use it. He also was doing a bang-up job of repeatedly using the ship's claw to bang the space slug into the ship. Why won't this thing die? It was pretty funny. And I actually may have I have the writer of the adventure right here and the designer of it, and he was a little perturbed that you were doing this to his beautiful, not at all dangerous creature. That was right here. He was a little perturbed about that.
The Bellare in me wanted it dead. I'm sorry.
No, I don't blame you. I think that's reasonable. All right, well, let's get to it, folks. We're going to be not going as long tonight, probably about 2.5 hours or so, because it is later than normal, and because I have this image of the lights just shutting down at a certain point when they close us all down. So hopefully that won't happen. But let us summarize what happened in our last session. These folks have been, I was actually talking to Johnny about this at dinner, these poor folks have been on the run, really, since the beginning of this entire campaign. It's been one sort of bolting from one place to another, always action going on. And these folks right now are on the eastern portion of this map, and actually, while we're on this subject, I should probably move us over there. Over to this side near Pelseros, where they took their amazing ship, the Hyperlance, which was not really functional 100% because they didn't have the Alfred AI that was necessary to run it properly. And so, after taking some damage and dealing with other problems with it, they needed to get the thing fixed. And so they took it to a place where they would find a mechanic who was good at what she did and wouldn't ask too many questions. And the place where you go for that is that wretched hive of scum and villainy known as Pelseros. When they got to Pelseros, they found the character of Spindra, who is a mechanic that knew what she was doing, but she had a certain problem with some gang issues that she'd been dealing with. And so when the party got there, they had to basically, first of all, drive off this group that was attacking her. And once they did that, she realized, apparently, that she had people that were going to be able to help her out. And she said that she needed them to help her track down this other ship, and that this other ship would have resources and things that were necessary to help repair the Hyperlance. And so the party, I would say in some cases reluctantly, agreed to be able to do this, mostly because she was yelling at them to get going, get going, get going, get going. In particular, Sleepwell, I think, was a little nervous about doing this, especially after all the killing that had just happened before. And taking the Plecostomus, which was provided no end of amusement for you think that Volna can be said the wrong way, Carlos? Boy, let me tell you. With Plecostomus. So they took that ship which looks a little bit worse than the Millennium Falcon to leap into a universe far, far away. And after some questionable issues with the security, the local security at Pelseros, managed to take off and head towards where Spindra had found this ship, the Tangrel, floating before. En route, though, something odd happened, and that is that they found themselves confronted with one of the many beautiful, wondrous experiences that one can find in the Silrain arc. And specifically, we are talking about this creature, which the Bellari calls the Avingor, considers it to be demonic, and which is known as a Vorkata. The party sort of named this a space slug, a sea slug, a space manta ray. But what it was this creature that was sucking energy literally from the ship. And so the party got themselves onto the top of the ship, with the exception of Cosmoritis, who was making it very clear that he wanted this thing dead at all costs. They ended up battling it a couple of times. It actually blasted them off the hull of the ship, but some quick thinking and the use of inspirations from chat allowed the claw of the ship to catch the person before they floated off into the void of space, and eventually they were able to defeat this creature. But at the end of our last session, what they discovered was that the ship's energy resources had been drained by the Vorkata before they could kill it, and had dropped, in fact, to about 50% or half power, which, as Spindra made clear, was probably not going to be enough to get them back home. Meaning, they got to go forward, they can't go backward. And with that idea of, we may not have enough energy to get home, sort of resonating and ringing in their ears, I'm now going to give this back over to the party. So, Kaz, you were inside on the bridge of the ship. You've just heard what it is that Spindra has said, and you can confirm. Actually, I'm sorry, you're not on the bridge. You're in the hold of the ship, actually. You were looking at the sorium canisters inside, and they all the readouts are at 50%. So I will leave it to the party. Aramis, Sleepwell, and Petra are on the top of the ship. Kaz, you are in the hold of the ship, and Spindra is on the top of the ship with him, sort of speaking to you via radio. So I leave it to the party. What do you want to do?
So just a quick question. Where is the slug thing right now? Like, is it spinning off?
It is floating off into space. Once you basically knocked it off and killed it, it's energy. And thank you, by the way, thank you for the resub, Nonaval. Also, Arundel, I missed this. Thank you for the resub, Arundel. Thank you so much for the resubs tonight, everybody. So, yes, when you killed it, the thing was drifting off into space. So the last time you saw the Vorkata, it was up there.
We were ending as this was happening, but if its body was starting to drift off, Kaz would have wanted to try to grab it with the claw, or what remains of it he could, and keep it.
I think you can probably do that, actually. I think you could probably do that without having to make a check, because it's drifting off fairly slowly, and right now so's your ship. So so you could actually do that. You could do that. The claw is a little sluggish, but you're able to get a piece of it, yeah.
A little sluggish.
Yeah.
Oh, totally planned. All part of my listen. Sometimes you're just that good. No.
Okay. And do I see a way for the claw to, or I just ask Spindra, and I just say, is there a way for us to get something that's like, can this claw move things to the airlock or something?
And she says from the radio, well, possibly. I mean, it was designed more to take stuff externally, but it might be able to move things to at least the airlock. Why? You want to keep this? I thought this thing frightened you.
Oh, it does, and that's why I don't like the idea of its body drifting away into a place I'm not aware of.
She says, well, it's up to you, I suppose. I don't know exactly what we're going to do with it, but if you want, I imagine you can try.
Was that the DM, or was that Spindra talking?
No, that was Spindra talking. That was Spindra talking. I'm just the messenger.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Hey, Kaz?
Yeah?
Is there really any reason to actually do this? We've already got problems of our own right now. Do we really want to recover this thing? We're still out here in the middle of nowhere, and we need. I mean, we're running low on fuel. We got fuel problems. So
Yeah, I think I want to take a look at it. Maybe I can cut it open and maybe it hasn't digested it all yet. I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see what's inside.
I don't see the harm in trying to get it in.
What if it has like a special bladder that holds the energy and we can use that?
Like an energy bladder.
Yes.
And Spinter says, yes,
As a
like an
walnut.
energy bladder. Exactly like that. Can we please get this into the airlock and get the ship moving again, please?
Yes. Are you guys coming inside?
We're coming inside.
And she already is like stomping off, sort of shaking her head, muttering about star children or something as she heads towards the airlock.
So do we, as we're making our way towards the airlock, do we see that if there's any particular damage on the surface of the ship, that's something else that we're going to have to deal with besides the fact that there are, our energy is basically drained 50%?
Right. I would say there are marks, almost like where you think this sort of suckers of the thing or whatever were actually draining from it, but it doesn't seem to be enough structural damage. This is a tough hull. I mean, this thing has got plenty of like marks already. There's all kinds of breaks and cuts and things like that in the outside, but it looks like that's functional. The problem is the energy, you would guess, more than the hull of the ship.
Okay. Head back inside.
Okay, so which one of you is actually grabbing the, because the claw can bring it to the airlock, but which one of you is going to grab the stuff, the energy stuff? Because clearly Spindra is making it obvious it's not going to be her. So who wants to grab the remaining bits? And you won't actually be able, I mean, this is a big creature, so you would have to be able to like either slice off a piece of it or try to laser off a piece of it or something like that.
Well, I guess what I would like to do, so I buzz into Kaz and I say like, I don't think we can fit the whole thing in here, but like, do you think I should try to do like a little space autopsy or like right here, kind of cut it open and see what there is to see?
Do you feel like you could do that if I can hold it still?
Oh yeah, just hold it still. I can do it. Yeah.
All right, yeah, go for it.
So
Okay.
I've got my little, let me see what exactly it is. What did I end up getting? So I've got a short blade, and so I will take out said short blade and, kind of getting myself in a good position, I'm going to just try to...
So you're going to try to saw the...
I'm going to try to saw through and start seeing guts.
Okay.
If you saw into this thing and it like hit that energy bladder and it explodes, I'm haunting you.
Okay, so as you begin to saw into the outside of it, you can see that these little motes of light that I made reference to before, you can see that those motes of light are kind of floating out of it as you sort of carve into it. And it has this kind of oddly jelly-like consistency, I think I would say, as you're sort of cutting through it. And eventually you're able to get, I'd say, a fairly decent-sized piece. It's a little unwieldy because it's kind of, like flying up gradually and you're sort of holding it back down. But you're able to basically get, saw off this piece of this stuff at this point. Do you want to try to investigate it still while you're outside, or do you want to go into the ship with it?
Oh, I think so. What I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to peel back the layer of the dermis so that I can see what kind of guts there are to be seen.
Okay, so you really are going to try to do this on the outside of the ship.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say be aware that as you're doing this, a lot of this fine stuff is going to be harder to do with relatively thick, spacesuit gloves that you'd be wearing. Relatively thick. It's not. We're not talking. Circa Neil Armstrong, but still, like, this is going to be not as easy to do. So you can do that, but just be aware that it's not. You might get more details, if you were to do this where you didn't have to be wearing the gloves. That's not to discourage you from doing it if you want to. I'm just letting you know. Yeah,
so it's more like, so as I understood it, I couldn't get the thing inside because I would prefer to do it in there. But
no, you could get it inside as long as you cut a piece of it off like this. That's why I was asking. You can probably get a piece of it inside.
He wants to get to basically like the stomach or like something that we think would possibly contain
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. So you're okay. That's fair. So then you're going to have to, yeah. So then you would have to be able to cut into it. I'm going to ask you, I think, to make a medicine check for me on this, Sleepwell.
Oh,
Um, I'm going to ask you though to do it at a -2. This is not easy. What you're trying to do.
gotcha. So medicine is plus
Is
4
there
for
any
me,
way
so
that
this would be a total of a roll of +2.
is there any way that I can assist? Because Aramis wouldn't leave him on the hull of the ship.
Right, right, right. I don't think you can know. I mean, you can definitely be watching him though. I mean, like in case anything is happening. But
Okay.
this is this is relatively specialized stuff. And then we'll see whether you can actually get to the center. By the way, people asking about inspirations. The way it works is all you have to do is type !inspiration space dash have, and it will let you know if you have an inspiration to use. Then to use it, you just do !inspire space and then the character or player you want to inspire. That's how it works.
So I rolled a 9.
Okay. So the problem is the consistency of this is such as it keeps kind of like flapping up that you're trying to cut into it, and it's like I don't know if you've ever tried to cut something through a plastic bag, but it's like the bag keeps flapping over, and it's not really, you can't get any purchase on it, so it keeps like kind of folding up, and you're like, ah. So you are cutting it, and there's all this light pouring out, but you're not really making headway in terms of getting into the dermis and all this other kind of stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna just buzz back to Kaz and say, like, you know what? I'm not. It's too hard to do this here. Maybe we can hold off on it, but maybe I should just try to cut off its head and bring that in. Maybe it stores a lot of its energy in its head. Seems like heads usually need a lot of energy. That seems a logical choice.
Okay.
Sure.
Oh, there you
All
go.
right.
See, I already know it's exactly. Yeah, dissecting a banana slug is exactly what this is like. So.
I'm gonna try to behead the thing and like Beowulf its head into the
Okay.
the hole.
All right. So if you're able to move up to the top and then sort of do that, I'll have you make another medicine check here. And I guess, Aramis, if you want to help him sort of hold down the other side, I'll let you take away that -2.
Okay.
So you're just going to do your medicine check just straight, Sleepo.
Here we go. It's a 15.
Okay. Yeah, so you're able to do that, I think. You're able to kind of cut around and into this thing. As you get sort of farther and farther into the sort of head area of it, I'm going to, for a moment, sort of consult my expert.
We have the resources here. Let's use them. Yeah, that's pretty great.
How big of a nose? Yes, it's very exciting.
So what you find are a couple of these spaceball-sized nodes, and there's a number of these actually in this area that you're looking at. And you had to basically go from the underneath of it because the top of it is basically this armor plating. I don't know if you remember when you were fighting it. So it's the underside that you had to go. And you find some of these things, but they now seem to be shriveled and shrunken as if the energy has basically been drained from them. You don't actually find any central nervous thing per se. You find essentially what looks like this network of these nodes, almost as if you were looking at, neurons in the brain, except on a much simpler level. You get the impression this thing was basically like suck energy into these nodes, which would swell and then allow the creature to do what it does. But it would be like dissecting a sea cucumber. It's not the most fascinating thing on the planet.
Right.
So yeah. But the nodes, but the node that you have though is shriveled and seems like it would have held energy, before.
Okay. Well, I just want to bring the whole damn head into the hole then.
Okay. So let's see. The whole you're going to have to cut you're going to drag as much of it as you can basically. So I think if you can basically cut a piece that's as big as you, Sleepwell, I would say, and kind of drag it down into the airlock. And so you do this, and as you're sort of pulling this back into the airlock, Spindra, who is already at this point out of her suit on the other side of the airlock, looking at you through the window, as you get in, door closes, pressure equalizes. And you bring it through. You see her with her arms folded, just sort of staring at you as you're like lumbering under the weight of this, jelly energy thing. And she just kind of shakes her head, and then without saying a word, just turns and gives you, because you're with him as you walk in, Hermes, just gives you this look, like, and then just is like, what is the, and then walks back up to the bridge of the ship. Kaz, are you doing anything in particular as you're waiting for this to happen once they come in with this stuff?
I have a very important question. Is the activating button that allows the claw to grip, like, how does that button work? Do you have to hold it to make the claw hold, or do you press it and then it changes to its other position?
Yeah, it's a toggle, yeah.
Okay, so I make sure that it's toggled to keep a hold of the rest of the remains of this Vorkata.
Okay.
And then I pat the little poodle. I've already forgot the name of the poodle.
Oh gosh, hold on a second. I need to look at the notes myself.
Was it Sprocket, or was that the other one?
No, the other one was called Fluffy. I don't remember.
I think it was Sprocket then.
So then he was probably Sprocket. Okay. Yeah, I think that's right. Yep.
Yeah. So I pet Sprocket, and
it wags its tail, and of course it has the one metallic leg that it kind of puts down.
And I walk. Oh, wait, no, I'm not on the bridge. I guess I would have gone to the bridge, made sure that the button would stay so that it's closed, so that it's having its grip, and then I would go to meet up with where I'm guessing Sleepwell and Armis and Spindra are coming out into the ship.
Yep. So you see them. You can see that Spindra looks pretty annoyed, and you can see that Sleepwell has this semi-triumphant look on his face as he's sort of under the weight of this thing.
100% triumphant.
100% triumphant. Okay. And as you're all sort of walking, carrying this thing. So you can see, Kaz, that he's sort of staggering under the weight of this, cut piece of the Vorkata.
Okay. I give a look to everyone and to Spindra and say, We made it.
And Spindra says, we made it for now. What's going to happen when we don't have enough energy to get where we're going, or at least to get back? Hopefully, we're going to be at the Tangerel sooner rather than later, but she kind of shakes her head and says, if there's another one of those things out there, well, and she trails off and lets the final statement go unsaid. And then she says, please find some place to put that thing where it's not going to energy slime my ship, please. And she sort of, with this helpless expression, continues on to the bridge.
Philistines.
So what are you planning to, where are you going to put this, Sleepwell?
So is there a cargo hold?
Oh, yeah, sure. That's where actually Kaz came from originally when he was dealing with the sorium canisters.
So I'm going to, best as I can. I'm a very weak cat, I'll just manage. So this is quite an effort for me, especially now that we're not in 0G. But
yes.
I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll get it into the cargo hold as cleanly as I can, which might not be very cleanly.
Okay. All right, you're able to bring it in there. You're just going to leave, or you're going to try to load it. There are a couple of empty crates. Do you want to try to load sort of what you can? It's not going to fit all the way in, but maybe you could kind of like a quilt flowing out of a hope chest, just put the Vorkata flowing out of the
decorative piece
cargo crate.
But actually, yeah, I mean, if I could find a big enough crate, I would love to actually crate it. But if not, I'll just try to get it in. Maybe use two crates, one to cover the other or something.
Okay, you're sort of able to do it. It's still not able to close fully, but you can kind of sits there squishily within the crate.
Yeah.
And as you're all sort of down looking at each other, you get over the intercom, Spindra says, all right, it's about time everyone start looking out the portholes. We're going to be coming aboard close to this thing soon, I hope.
So I'm gonna kind of hustle back to be near Spindra as quickly as I can. And I want to ask, well, you know this area, right? Like, what else is around here? Is there some place where we can get more fuel or energy?
And she sort of looks at you with a grin and she says, I don't think we've got any gas stations around here, my friend. And she kind of, nudges you. And then seeing that you're not really getting the joke, she kind of shakes her head and she said, never mind. No, I don't know where we're going to get power sources here, except maybe on the Tangrel. My hope is that we'll be able to find stuff there that at least maybe I can use to regenerate what we've got here or something. But this place is not particularly well explored space. We don't usually come here, except when there's a big score, like this one.
So Sleepwell is kind of like, he's taken a step back now, and he's like, okay, you know that your boss wouldn't have abandoned this ship for any reason that you could possibly think of, and yet it's lying there derelict. There's something in there, isn't there? What do you know? What aren't you telling us? What could have driven your boss off that ship?
And she says, I don't know any of these details. I just know that this thing is valuable, and it's going to have valuable stuff for us and for the ship that you're trying to repair. I mean, my boss wasn't a fool, but maybe he could make mistakes. I certainly saw him make mistakes before. And besides, we're not going to be taking this ship. We're just grabbing the stuff that we need from it. So whatever it is that caused problems there, we won't be around long enough for it to cause problems for us.
Okay, that's not going to happen, Spendra. That's not been our luck. We keep having problems. We keep running into things. Worst case scenario, so we need to plan for the worst. What are we going to do to defend ourselves when we get there?
She says, you already proved to me you could defend yourselves with what you did back in the space station. Look at what you did to the gang. You made them look like fools.
Did you just see that space slug eat us?
I saw you beat the space slug. In fact, I saw Kaz decide to beat the hell out of my ship with the space slug.
At this point, I walk in the room.
Hi!
My story is.
And she looks at you and she says, Kaz, don't you think you'll be able to handle problems, any problems that could possibly exist here?
Of course. If anything has, proven so far. Aramis, you don't look happy. I may be on a bit of a stint of adrenaline because I just killed an ancient enemy of my people, but that's just me.
And she slaps you on the shoulder with kind of a metallic clang, and she's like, that's the spirit. She says, all we need to do is stick together. You've proven that we're a tremendous team. I ask the questions, you find the answers. That's the way that we work. I think we've done a great job so far. I'm actually very excited for how this is a great plan. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. Sleepwell starts scrambling around. It's like, what can we use to scan this thing? And I'm using my engineering skill to try to see if she has scanners or things that we can use to look at the other ship.
So she tosses you this, what looks kind of like it looks like this weird sort of curved thing that has maybe like a light bar or sensor on the end of it. And she says, here, you can try this. It's an old model. And she sort of, looks at you as if, you'll know exactly what to do with it.
And do I?
And she says, well, it's a scanner. You just, the top button there, and there's like this top little button that, like, this little toggle switch, basically.
The ship doesn't actually have any scanners. We have to use a handheld scanner to...
And she says, look, sometimes you have to make allowances. Sometimes there's things you get on a ship and things you don't get on a ship.
Have you ever found a needle in a haystack?
She said, yeah, I just had to leave behind the haystack. Listen, this is not the point. She says, why don't you use this thing? And she waits, expectantly. She says, it'll work. Just go ahead and run the scanner over the top of it. It'll feed it into the main computer.
Okay.
Well, I know that we were a little bit spoiled with the scanners on our other ship, but I think it'll work.
Oh, you think it'll work? Well, then you do it. And I toss him the scanner.
And okay. All right. So, Spindra, how long did you say we have until we get to the Tangro?
She said, I would say probably only a few minutes before I'll need you to start looking outside for it. I don't know exactly where it is, just the approximate place.
And did, are we expecting to have other people be on this ship as we go to it?
She said, no, when I was there, when I happened to see it, I noticed that it was just drifting by itself. I think it'll just be us sort of looking it over. That's the whole idea. If anyone finds out about this ship and got to it before us, I said, oh, I don't want to think about that. What happens if someone... Hurry up with that scanner. We need to get to this thing.
I know. How big is the Tangrel in comparison to the Plecostomus?
She says, much, much larger. That's one of the reasons why there's so much resources, so many resources that we can get from it.
Could we, when we dock, maybe try to dock in a way that conceals the ship? At least from every other direction.
She says,
I don't know.
Well, we may not have as much trouble hiding on that ship as you might think. Hurry up with that scanner.
I leave the room and go to scan the thing.
Okay. So, okay, now there's two things. There's the you have to do the thing with the scanner, and then it's going to feed into the main computer. So someone's got to monitor the computer, and someone's got to be on the scanner.
I will monitor the computer.
Okay. So when Kaz starts running this thing up and down, you can see the sort of readouts on this main screen. And you may remember that I described her screen as basically being like this sort of Commodore 64 style, like columns pop up with these ASCII text, things, whatever, the wingdings.
If I remember correctly, it was an Apple II.
It was that. Yeah, you're right. It was an Apple II. My bad. And so as you're scanning it, you can see in columns on the screen, you can see that there is what looks like a sort of steady, just sort of wall of. I don't remember if I made it green or brown, but let's say green for now. I think it was green. Green like this. As you're scanning it, every so often you go over an area and the green goes up like this and then back down. So it feels like what you're scanning is just almost complete energy, except that the energy no longer exists there. But every so often there's a spike, as if there is something that...
Like residual?
Yes. No, where energy would have been kept. It's almost like an absence of energy, if anything. Like a thing that is ready to consume energy.
Okay. Well, what are you guys reading up there from what I'm getting here?
Occasionally we're getting some spikes, but for the most part, nothing.
The spikes, by the way, Kaz, you've noticed there's a couple of places where there are almost like sort of noticeable lumps in the body of this thing that you're doing. And these, again, look like these shriveled, nodes that you're looking at, or balls, basically. That whenever you run the scanner over that, as you talk with Aramis, that's when the spikes occur.
All right. Well, I think our chance of getting any sort of extra juice from this thing, it's already dead and gone. Maybe we could still store energy in it if we ever needed to do that for some reason, but sleep well. Are you satisfied for the moment?
I got its head.
All right. I head back to the bridge, I guess.
Okay. So when you get back up to the bridge, Spindra is looking anxiously at this sort of central front window, and then says, all right, take a look out the side windows, everybody. It's going to be coming up here pretty soon.
Should I go outside and get back on the hull and just kind of spot check for us?
She says, I wouldn't want you to run into it by accident. It's not easy to find.
Your lack of confidence has convinced me. And I moved to one of the portals.
She says, but you could move to the window that leads to the outside of the airlock. You could watch through that.
Sounds good.
So as she has you looking out of these windows as you sort of drift along, you at first you see nothing. Then I would like everybody to make perception checks for me, please.
Passive perception.
Not past perception here, no. Not unless the ship is going to come up to you and be like, hello.
Oh, okay, I guess I rolled twice, so we'll take the first roll.
All right. So we got an 8 from Aramis. And are those, did you roll sleep well in Kaz or not yet?
Yeah,
I did,
that's
yeah. A 12 for me, 15 for
and
you.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. You are able to see, actually, Kaz out of the window. At first, you notice it because of what you don't see. You don't actually see light stars through this, and then you realize that you're looking at this sort of large looming mass, which would have been very difficult to see. And of course, it strikes you as you're looking out the window that partly that's because you normally don't get asked to look for things visually. That's what you have sensors for, and yet
Right.
you're being asked to do that in this particular case. But you were actually extremely close to this very, very sizable ship, and you can't even really get an image yet of what the shape of it is. You just see the sort of like large size of it. The only thing you can notice as the Spindra flips a couple of dials on her console in front of her, and a couple of lights, floodlights, sort of shine on from the Blacostomus onto this large mass. And you can see the metal of the outside of this ship is also pitted and scarred. But the thing you really notice, Kaz, are a bunch of these sucker marks, which look identical to the sucker marks that you have now seen on your own hull of your ship, of the Blacostomus. These look like the same kind of Vorkata marks that you saw before. But there is no Vorkata, you'll be maybe happy to know, currently sitting on top of it. And she says, do you see it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's right there. And we're very close to it. It's right there.
She says, all right, excellent. She says, all right, let me change the camera. And she changes the camera angle to sort of look at what you're, yeah, okay, I see. Right, all right. Hold on a minute. We're just going to, and the thing bangs to the side. And she's like, slightly overestimated. It's not a problem. So you hear this sort of unfortunate sound on the inside of the ship of, as if you're sort of pulling away from something a little bit. And then more gently bumps slightly. And she says, perfect. This is what happens when you go with one of the best mechanics in the Silrain Arc. I can also occasionally pilot, just a little bit. You see this, the screen sort of disappears, and then this ASCII thumbs up comes up on the screen. She says, we're docked.
Great.
All right. And now I'm going to bring you and everybody over to the Tangrel. Okay. So, now she has you with the Blacostomus here, which you should all be able to see now, is right alongside this large mass, which she claims is the Tangrel. Exactly, Nonable. I'm fixing it. You've got, she's basically has you connected to what looks like this tube that is extending from the Blacostomus over to the side of the ship. It's a little troubling, this passageway, because the passageway actually has what looks like these kind of accordion folds on the outside, and almost reminds you of like old holovids you used to see of the way that people would get onto, you think they called them maybe jet planes with these things, but it seems to be connected from your ship to the Tangrel. And she says, all right, we're snugly in there. Now we got to go on board and see what we can find. And she gets up and hits a couple of controls and says, okay, it's automatic lock now. Maybe one of us should possibly stay here, but I think most of us should be going over. I'm going to need your help to bring some things over there, for one thing.
Do you have any... Seems like a dumb question. Do you have any scanners that will actually work on the ship since we're this close to it?
And she says, this is why I use the hand scanners. These things will be able to do the job. She says, the good news is that we'll be able to use the computers on the Tangrel to be able to read the scanner information. That's assuming I can get the power going. That's what I brought the Saurium for. We're going to bring the Saurium on there, power up the ship, get the scanners, get the loot, get back on the ship, head back home.
Did you not see the impressions that were on this thing? That thing that we fought off? It was probably feeding off of this thing first. How are we going to protect ourselves against that? Does this thing have weapons that we can use?
Maybe we killed the same thing that was attacking that one.
Or maybe we're in a feeding ground.
She says, that seems not very likely. And you could see this sort of like her, she's like, and she's like, that's fine. I think that wouldn't be a problem. She says, besides, the reality is, what else do you want to do? Drift around until one of these things in this so-called feeding place find us?
I have an idea. Sprocket seems to be your defense system. Let Sprocket go first.
And she says, well, Sprocket has got a built-in suit. I was going to bring him along, but for all of Sprocket's gifts, and he has a lot of gifts, he's probably going to need someone to open the door for him.
Oh, I'll open the door for Sprocket.
No, I mean on the other side of the passageway. She
I
says,
sense-
I'm going to go
I-
with. She says, I'm going to go with you. I just need some help bringing the canisters on board.
Look, we have been cornered. We have been trapped. We have been outmaneuvered in every single fight I've been with these people for the 10 minutes that I've spent with them. I am sick of being just railroaded into terrible tactical situations. I have, as well as I have by hiding, by sneaking, by being smart. The dog goes first.
And she says, all right. The dog can go first, but we need to go right after it. I'm not just going to move it into the ship and then wait till it stops barking.
Excellent. You go second.
Okay, that's fine. Who's going to go third? I do need someone else to go third.
Aramis steps up, walks up next to Sleepwell, says, pets him on the head. Good kitty. Keeps going.
Okay, so you're going to be
You're
third.
gonna be third.
And she says, all right, Kaz. And then she says, sort of, sleep well?
You're going to need a medic. I know you're going to need a medic.
And she says, that's the spirit. And so she says, let's go. We finally got to where we need to go.
So Petra's with us.
Things are
too.
looking up.
So I turn to Kaz and say, Petra can stay here. Why don't you come with us too?
All right. And I follow along.
Okay. All right. So you all get into your spacesuit, and with Sprocket, who has the appropriately sized dog suit for him.
With one of those globe astronaut helmets.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
The Jetsons dog.
Basically, with the bubble, the sort of ridged legs, going up both sides. And when the airlock opens on your side, you have this moment of uncertainty as you notice that the passageway leading to it is kind of swaying back and forth a little bit. It seems stable, but it's not rock solid on. And she says, perfect. Much better than the last time. Go ahead, Sprocket. And Sprocket's like,
Whoa, wait, what? Last time?
She says, well, last time I got onto a ship.
Wait, have you been back to the Tangrel?
Obviously, I haven't been on it, though, yet. I obviously knew where it was. That's how I knew where to come back to it.
So, wait a minute. You've had multiple salvage jobs here.
But I have not taken anything off the ship. I couldn't. I told you that.
What happened the previous time?
I didn't have a chance to get on the ship. I was just here. We found the ship. I found it, and I didn't have time to be able to stop and explore it. And I wasn't going to do it by myself with Sprocket. I needed a group of people I could trust with me. Now I've got that.
But you said you attached the airlock. You attached the airlock. You just said it.
No, not to this ship. Now, by this point, Sprocket is on the other side on the door and is kind of, looking back.
Let's just go inside.
And is kind of putting his paw up against the one door. And as you sort of making, you can barely hear through the airlock a little bit of this sort of clink, 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 clink.
I had a bad feeling about this.
And so she comes up to Sprocket and she says, good dog. And she's, by the way, I should have mentioned before, she also asked you to bring a couple of canisters of sorium on board to help power it. So I don't know who's carrying that, but okay, so you'll carry one, she'll carry one. Okay, so assuming you all carry one, the airlock opens to reveal your doom. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure it'll be fine. So, I realize I got to go carefully because I don't remember how long the room is. I don't have my other home map here. Okay. And there we go. Okay. So, this opens up to reveal a rather large, long room. And I actually need to find... Brian, can I ask you to do me a favor? And do you have the key to this map again, by chance? Do you have the map key on your computer there? Yeah. The thing you sent me a picture of the map was labeled.
Oh, okay. I've got the
Do you have the labeled map? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have it here.
Okay. Just takes a little while to find this.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Doing some stuff as we go. Okay. All right, what was it you guys were talking about in chat? What is this now?
A nest, not a feeding ground.
Oh, it's an... I don't know why everyone's so
God.
suspicious.
Oh God, no.
Really? Damn it.
Oh no.
Built it on an Indian burial ground. It's fine. I know. I see what you all did there with the fish jokes. That was cute. It is a very fishy situation. Yes, it's very much the case. I see what you did there. While we're just waiting to grab this key or grab this map, I will tell you that you are watching day 14 of Esper Genesis, Consigned to Oblivion. I'm doing this live from PAX Unplugged. I'm joined in the room with the Alligator Alley guys, who are awesome. I'm also joined by Johnny Pittman, who is here live and in person in living color. And of course, Carlos and Zach are with me remotely. Hopefully Kat will join us, but no guarantee of that. We will be going for another little bit over an hour or so, after which point I think the hotel guard who's gone back and glared at us about 10 times is going to, kick us out at that point, I believe. But hopefully we have about that, maybe, you think? 30, 40 minutes? Oh, okay. All right, well, we'll do the best we can.
Listen, every artist needs to be jailed for his...
Yeah, exactly. Everyone needs to be jailed for their art. Yes, quite right. That is quite right. Okay. So let me pull open my email so I can get it. Yeah, sorry to make you do that, Brian.
It's all right. Just want to make sure I got the right one.
Oh, cool. Thank you. That's even better. Yeah, maybe just... I was going to say, maybe just yeah, that's fine. Awesome. Okay, no looking, Johnny.
What?
What thing?
Huh? Hey guys, I got the map. We're good.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. So as you sort of bring this up, you can see in front of you there is what looks like a rather large and open area, which might be, my camera was messed up, which might have been some kind of hangar bay, a place where ships might ultimately have been stored. It's pretty sizable, and in fact the hangar bay is even longer than the Plecostomus. Maybe not quite as wide, but it's definitely longer than the Plecostomus. So it's pretty sizable. And right in front of you, as the airlock is open, you can actually see that there is this pedestal on which there's a set of controls of some kind. and Spindra happily sort of looks at all of you with a smile as you all enter. She closes the airlock behind you and goes over to the control mechanism and takes a look at it. And the entire ship, of course, is very dark, but not completely dark. There seems to be a couple of what look like maybe emergency lights, very sort of low red lights that are over the entire ship. But otherwise, the ship is completely and deadly silent. Just no sound at all that's popping through, that's coming through here at all. You're not clear how much atmosphere there might be or not be within the ship. And as she goes over to look at the control panel, she says, "Okay, so bring me one of the canisters."
Bring it over and hand it to her.
Okay. So she takes the canister, and below the pedestal, she, with some difficulty, sort of wrenches open this door at the bottom that kind of slides open, and then is able to slot in this canister and close it. And then she looks up at the pedestal and presses a couple of buttons, and you hear this, and the lighting gets a little brighter. And is joined now by some green lighting mixed in with the red, very festive. And you can hear the sound of inrushing air as something seems to be powering up. And she says, good. I think we're good to go. And she waits as she's looking at the pedestal, and there seems to be a little display on it with a gauge that's rising. And then after a moment, she smiles again, and then disconnects her helmet, and good. A little musty, but it's definitely breathable. And so, and Sprocket is already sort of moving around, sniffing at the different spots in this hangar bay. And she says, "All right, well, I think we're in good shape. We brought the life support on. We got these things done." And she says, "Well, that's odd." And she notices, she points to this area right here. Area right here. She closes, she obviously, before she takes her helmet off, closes this thing, but there was an area here, sort of a larger door that was open. And as if there had been, this was the way that the ships would have entered and exited, as if there had been some ships which left. So the ships are no longer there. The bay is empty, other than the things that I've described. But this door here, this sort of dotted line, was open. And she closed the door before doing this. And she says, "It's odd. I don't know why this thing was open." He says, "But I don't know. It may have been just some kind of a flaw in the system or something like that. Maybe when that Vorkata was on top of it, it might have actually somehow sucked the energy and disconnected this. Anyway, I've got the doors back working now."
What's behind the door?
The door leads to the outside.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, door leads to the outside. What door? No, the door leads to the outside.
So I am sort of peering over her shoulder, and I want to use one of my prime powers, analyze device, to see if I can figure out what is going on with this machine and what she's seeing.
Okay. So as you use that, because I don't think you need to make a roll for that, I don't believe.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So this seems to be some kind of an auxiliary control mechanism. It looks like it's designed to be able to control the main functions. You can see that there is what's clearly a life support toggle on there. You can see that there is what looks like it actually is designed to open and close the hangar bay doors and the airlocks to the hangar bay doors. And it looks like it has maybe what might be an intercom or something like that, like a radio that you don't know where it goes, but presumably somewhere within the body of the ship. But it seems to be basically an auxiliary control panel. It doesn't have all the functions probably that the bridge computer would have, but it has enough to be able to get by if people come in this way.
Does it look like it has anything that I could use to scan the ship for life forms?
It doesn't look like it's fully functioned enough for that. You would need to be able to probably go to this ship's bridge to manage that.
Okay.
Can we call up a display for a map of some kind?
Yeah, you might be able to do like sort of a very simple map. The display, though, it's really just kind of a gauge, not so much a video screen. There's no video cameras or anything like that. But you might be able to get a map that you could maybe download and look at. Let's say using her scanner or something like that. And she says, as she notices you're looking over her shoulder, Sleepwell, she says, yeah, this is auxiliary control. You see, from here I can manage life support, the hangar doors, and she's like, and I can actually get these doors unlocked. I ought to be able to control most of them on this level, I think. And she presses one of the switches, and you hear this, and the door here sounds like it just clicked, as if it perhaps opened. And she says, all right, that took care of the lock there. As I remember, you're able to get onto the passageway and then head up to the front of the ship, the bow of the ship. You should be able to do that just by going in and then taking a left. That'll bring you right to the front of the room. In the meantime, though, I've got to keep working on trying to get these other doors unlocked. Maybe one or two of you should go up there, and one of you can stay with me if you want, or you can all go up together while I try to get the rest of this going. And you can see she's like trying to fiddle with things, and you hear a couple of like as doors are opening and closing.
Stop unlocking doors. Lock the doors.
She says, I'm not. I only unlocked the two, just this door and that door.
No. What we need to do is secure the ship. The first thing we need to do is make sure that we're alone. Everything else has to wait until we know. Why am I dealing with amateurs? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to send the dog through that open door, and if it survives, then maybe we'll follow it.
Sleepwell, don't you have a drone?
I don't, because we haven't. So just out of character, we haven't taken a long rest, and so I don't have that power right now. And so I say, yeah, give me 8 hours and a good breakfast, and I'll get you all the drones you want. But right now, we have a dog.
One note, though, Sleepwell, that's actually not true. You did get a long rest when you were on your way here before the Vorkata attack. So you did manage to get a long rest.
But I used my...
Oh, you used it afterwards? Okay.
Yeah,
so then you don't have it again. Okay.
So
Right, during the battle. Right. Yeah, you're right. You haven't had one since the battle.
If we did have a long rest, I want to make sure that I actually use this, basically like the hunter quarry I get to choose.
Right.
So I'll just
Vorkata?
mark it down. No. I'll mark it as, let's see. Monstrosities. Yeah, just monstrosities.
Okay.
That's it.
Seems appropriate. Okay. Sounds good.
Just so you know.
So
okay.
Back to the game, I'm like, yeah, I don't have a drone until I get a meal and a nap. In the meantime, I have a dog. Here, puppy.
And so Sprocket, which is over, sort of sniffing, looking at the now closed hangar door, comes over, tail wagging, leg is clank, clank, clank on the floor, and she Spinger shrugs and she says, "If you want to send Sprocket out there, you can feel free to send him out there. I'm telling you, you're overreacting." She goes over to the door, sort of leaves the control panel for a moment, and goes over to the door and opens it. And the door opens here and reveals a very sizable, even more sizable than when you were in, room. This seems to be, if you had to guess, and actually, I don't know how many of you are going to, I assume you're going to at least sort of go over and look. You can see some of this through the door, just the open door. But if you want to see more, then you'd obviously need to go over and take a look. But as Sprocket goes through the door, you can see what looks like an enormous central hold, if you had to guess. This is probably where the hold of the ship is. And you're actually standing on the balcony, or this door leads to, the balcony, which is overlooking the hold down below. And there are a number of crates and things like that that are in this hold.
Hey, Spindra,
Yes?
what exactly are we looking for here? Because these cargo containers, there's a lot of them.
She says, exactly. That's what we're looking for, is a lot of everything. This kind of ship was used before to be able to take valuables, resources, a lot of mechanical things. I'm hoping to be able to find some energy sources here. Basically, this ship took anything and everything with it. And part of what it used to carry was ship parts, lots of them. That's why it needed a hold this big.
So is there some place where we can find a manifest then?
She says, yeah, probably the front of the ship. In the bridge, I would assume.
And what direction is that?
And she says, right to the left, where Sprocket is already going. And she looks back over her shoulder and gives you a meaningful look, Sleepwell, as Sprocket is happily like, dunks, 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 through this red-green, lit room. And right at the very top of this room, you can see that it actually curves. You can see that it actually curves there and leads to, and there's a door that's actually on the far left side, as you can see. There's also, again, a couple of doors to the right towards the rear of the ship.
Continue to follow Spendra and Sprocket.
Okay, well, Sprocket is the one who's going. Spindra goes back to the control panel because she's still trying to fiddle with that.
Sprocket, does Sprocket know where he's going?
Well, he seems to be going rather unerringly, but there's only basically one pathway, though.
Right.
So it goes up to the door right here and then stops, which is the front, like that's the farthest door that you can get to, and sort of looks around.
Also following Sprocket, but I am going to kind of unhook my, release my sniper arm so that I can look through the scope, and I just want to look down the entirety of this cargo bay and see if I see any movement.
Okay, make a perception check for me, please.
All right. Nine.
Yes.
That's no injury.
9 is right. You see no things. No. You definitely do not see movement. In fact, this feels a little bit sort of. It's not overwhelming exactly, but this seems like a, kind of large. There's some swirls of what looks like maybe dust of some kind. Maybe.
I thought you said there were some squirrels. I'm like,
squirrels. There were some squirrels and lots of wildlife. No, no swirls of dust.
Okay. Okay.
So.
Yeah, I'm taking point, and then I look back at the door and Sprocket expectantly, and kind of say to Aramis, "Let's go to the bridge, I guess."
Righto. And
Sleepwell, okay, so you're heading up that way. Sleepwell, what are you doing?
So I'm being extremely cautious, and so I sort of put my head out the door and really take a good look around to see if I notice anybody. As they're walking, I'm gonna go actually a little bit in the other direction and try to peek around the crates to make sure nobody's hiding. So I'm trying to search this area.
Now, one of the things that you notice is you're sort of now are you doing that? I should ask. Are you doing that are you going door to door, Sleepwell? Are you like can you point yourself? Are you here? Where are you on the ship?
Yeah. So how do I make it do the little marky thing?
Press and hold your mouse button.
Press and hold. Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah. So this is where I enter, right?
Yep.
Right here. So what I want to do first, because they're headed in this direction here.
Right.
I want to head this way and start looking between these crates, and kind of taking a look down the hallway.
Could we possibly put the tokens on the map?
Yeah. Let's bring.
Don't split the party.
Let's bring you all down there. What could go wrong? Okay, let's see. Let's head just for a second over
but
to.
I'm hoping for a perception check at some point.
I'm worried that Roll20's random number generator is going to hate you in that moment.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, so. Whoops! I accidentally took one of the drone attack robots. I'm sure that's not not at all what I meant to do.
So there was some
45 of them.
All of the crates are drone attack robots.
Why does he keep doing that? I don't want that one.
What a twist.
Oh, that's why. Okay. There we go. All right, so I'm going to put Sleepwell down, and you can show me where you're going, and then I'll put the others down as you're doing that. Don't think you have control over that. Or actually, you do. I think you have control over that, Carlos. Just double check.
I do. I just moved it.
Okay, lovely. So go ahead and move that where you want. While you do that, I'm going to grab the others.
So, yeah, I'm going to just quickly say that I'm sort of trying to look between the crates here and get a better look down the hallway. See, just, try to open the map up a little bit, I guess.
Okay. I will do that in just one moment. Go ahead and check and see if that works for you, Aramis.
Sure
And
is.
then last will be Kaz. Okay, same thing, Kaz. Just make sure for me, please, that you're able to control that. Okay, lovely. Okay, so as you're doing this, I am going to ask you, Sleepwell, to make a perception check for me, please. You said you wanted one, and I'm happy to oblige. That's what we do here. We try to oblige the players.
A mighty 7.
A mighty 7. That is mighty not large. Oh my goodness. Someone just did a sub of some kind, or resubbed. Oh, thanks, Shadow Mage. Thanks for the resub, dude. A lot of resubs tonight. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate that. 18 months. Wow. And a tier 2 as well. Thank you so much, Shadow. I appreciate that.
Wow.
Thank you, Shadow. Good man. Okay. So you were able to see that the back of this room looks very similar to the front of it, Sleepwell, in that the whole thing is designed, as you can see, kind of as this curved room, in the center of which are these crates. You don't see any movement or anything in particular between the crates. As I said, just a few like swirls of dust, and this red-green light is just sort of barely illuminating what's there. It's just slightly above emergency lighting level, basically. So you're not able to see too well, but you do notice that there are two, what look basically ladders that lead down, metallic ladders. One of them is here, towards the rear of the ship, and one of them is here at the front, that leads down to the floor of the hold.
It leads down to the floor of the hold. Okay. So the next thing I'll do is go to one of these crates and see if there is.
You need to use the ladder if you're going to do that. You're going to need to go up and take the ladder down. Are you going to do that?
Oh, I see.
Otherwise, you're leaping off the balcony.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, I forgot we had a balcony.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
You vaulted the balcony. Yeah.
I'm leaning over and I'm looking there. Do I have any better sense of what could be in there? I mean, I know she said it was parts and stuff like that, but does it look like it's containing basically like a container for, gears and whatnot? Does it look like it might hold some other kind of thing in it?
It's impossible to tell. Well, it's impossible to tell, except to say that there are two sets of crates. Most of the crates that you see here are blue, and most of them seem to have markings on them, although you can't see what the markings say. You'd actually need to get down close to them, but they seem to have marks. Then there are a set of these crates right towards the back here. There are fewer of them, and they appear to be unmarked. And again, to see more details about any of this, you'd actually need to get down into the hold. One other thing I want to note, by the way, is as you were going along to the ship, both you and Kaz and Aramis were able to see, as you guys were going up the other direction, that in a lot of the rooms, there were some things floating in the rooms. Basically, it seems like some of these rooms do not have gravity. So she's only been able to apparently restore gravity selectively to certain rooms. So she's working on trying to clearly get gravity working elsewhere. And there's gravity in this hold, but there's no gravity in some of the other rooms that you found elsewhere in the ship, as if the hold is kind of isolated in its own atmosphere.
Are these cargo containers actually strapped down in some way?
They don't seem to be strapped down, but they're probably attached somehow. Okay. But there is gravity in this room anyway right now. But yes, they do seem to be like metallically locked or magnetically attached something.
Okay.
So, Kaz and Aramis. When you get up to the front, you see Sprocket, and Sprocket seems to be a little bit uncertain. He seems to be sniffing. He's like, he's kind of whining a little bit and pawing at the door of this thing. And there is a porthole that's in the door to the this sort of front of the ship, or at least what seems to be the door leading to the front. and there is a porthole, which seems to be, you could actually, if you looked inside it, you could dimly lit see inside.
This is all solid. This is all solid metal, right?
The door is solid metal, but there is a porthole in the middle that is made of clear, some kind of plastisteel substance.
And we don't see anything that's clearly obvious on the other side of that?
Well, if you look in the porthole,
Do.
yeah, something is floating in the air, like some of the other rooms. You saw there were things floating, but you can't see what.
Do these environment suits that we're wearing, do they have magnetic locks? That's how we were anchoring ourselves before, right?
They do have magnetic locks. I don't know whether you took the helmets off yet or not. There is air in this hold area. She took off her helmet.
She took off her helmet. Is the surface that we're walking on, is that metallic as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so when you get to the front, she says, "Okay, I think I can actually connect." You're hearing this through the intercom. "I think I can actually connect. I've got the intercom working, and I think I can connect some gravity in some of the rooms. I think I've got the gravity to," and she stops, and nav or something. The front room. You must be right in front of it right now. Are you at the front door?
We sure are.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think I've got this. I can turn on the gravity if you want.
I do not recommend it just yet.
Okay.
Is the inside of this room in front of us dark?
It's lit barely, but you can see, like, just sort of faintly with that red green, and you can see something floating.
Would you call it dim light mechanically?
Yes.
Okay, because as a Bolare, I can see heat signatures within a specified range through up to 5 feet of non-metallic material. So if I were to go up to the porthole, as long as what I'm looking at is within dim light or darkness.
Definitely not a heat signature coming
Okay.
from this.
All right, with dark vision, as an Ashen Forged, what do I see?
The problem is that the light is messing that up, because there is enough light to be able to see through it. So
There's
that's
enough
the thing.
ambient light to be able to cause a problem?
Right.
Okay.
I mean, the problem is it's kind of right in the middle. Like it's enough that you can see. That's why you're able to see that something's floating. You just can't tell what.
All right.
I think we should
Someone
just have
literally
her-
just rolled in the outside with a Segway. That was really funny. I just thought it was like Segway. I'm like, okay.
Why not?
I think we should have her turn gravity back on and then just go inside.
Sure. Okay. You've got a suit that allows you to walk with using, magnets. I've got the same thing. I'm not sure what it's going to do. What's in there to be damaged or maybe cause a mess like that body that's floating there.
And she says, well, when I turn on the gravity in there, I should be able to also, the light should come up a little bit more strongly. I'm basically turning on the power to the room.
Do it.
At this point, I'm going to come back toward them, too. Now that I've heard this conversation, I'm going to make my way back toward them.
Okay. Are you going all the way up to them, Sleepo?
I'm going to put myself right about here.
Okay. All right. And you're actually I'm going to move you like that because you're actually on the outside. You would go through, like you see there's, you're basically able to look over. There's a door that lets you into the hold, but you're able to see like over there's like more than a chest high wall, let's say, that's around this that you need to go through a little sort of half door to get to the section which would then lead to the ladder. So
Understood.
as you go back up there, okay, so I just want to make sure, who's looking through the porthole?
Both of us are, I think.
Okay,
Yep.
Sleepwell, are you too?
I am not.
Okay. She says, all right, so here we go. And you hear this, the lights come up, and you have the image suddenly of what looks like, very clearly, a severed limb hits the ground and splatters. You actually see little blood spots coming up from it.
Told you.
Okay, I got it.
What do you see? What do you mean told you? What do you see?
And Sprocket is like, pawing at the door.
Key the door lock.
Okay, so when the door opens, you can see, first of all, this room in front, which I shall now reveal with the power of reveal area. Okay. Okay. So you see this room, and this looks to actually have what looks like, first of all, there's two, essentially what look like trapdoors leading down to maybe like access hatches, which maybe leads down to below decks. And then there is also a couple of computers here, terminals that you can see here and over here. There's also a door in the front, which presumably leads all the way to the cockpit of the ship. But more noticeable on the ground is what looks like not just a severed limb, but two bodies lying on the ground. They have been killed by violence, and they have been torn, but torn's not the right word. They have been, with almost surgical precision, chopped up. So there's basically a chopped up body, two of them, lying on the ground.
Hey,
Blood everywhere.
hey, Sleepwell.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna need your medical expertise to take a look at these bodies.
Bodies. And so
I said plural.
yeah, so I make my way into the center of the room to examine the bodies.
Okay. These things, as you sort of look at them, and there's plenty of parts to choose from that may not all belong next to the bodies that they sit next to. Make a medicine check for me, please, Sleepwell.
On it. Not good. 7.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, I mean, you're able to tell that, quite obviously these were killed forcibly. The one thing that is very obvious, though, is that the limbs have been removed with these super clean cuts, as if they were removed by surgical blades. Now, I'm not talking about went through surgery. I mean, whatever killed them with this type of thing.
And they don't look mauled, like nothing ate them, right?
No, but their expressions are stuck in expressions of terror, pain, and the bits are all over the place.
Do they look contorted? Like, are any bones broken in the hands or anything? Like they might have been tortured that way?
They do not look contorted. They do not look like their bones are broken. They do look contorted, I should say. But they don't look like bones are broken. But the cuts are so clean that the parts of the shoulder leading to the arm have been cut so you can cleanly see the white of the bone. You could almost put it back together and you wouldn't see a seam. That's how perfectly these were cut.
Are they cut up in exactly the same way, in a very precise anatomical cut, or are they cut in a very weird pattern, like half the head and half the torso, or is it like perfectly cut shoulder, perfectly cut?
No, it's more. No, the cuts are weird, but wherever the cuts are done, they are perfectly managed.
All right.
And you hear Spindra say, "All right, so everything okay up front?"
Not so much. We have a couple of bodies here, people who were killed. Their faces are trapped in rictuses of pain and suffering, and the cuts have been made so cleanly that I'm not even sure what could have done it. I mean, some kind of laser sword or monofilament whip? Like, I don't know what could have done it. You know what could have done something like that?
Then there's a long pause, then she says, no. And that's really troubling. And she says, do you see anything around you at all? Maybe?
A ship?
A couple of terminals.
I want all three of you to make perception checks for me, please.
12 for me.
Ooh.
Okay.
Hey,
12, 7, and 7, huh?
We both look at, we try to look
Sprocket,
across, but then we look at each other.
Yeah, you're like, wait, what? Sprocket turns, whimpers, looks up, goes forward, and you have the shocking image of Sprocket bumping into something which, although there is nothing there, its head moves in and then pushes him back. He growls. You see a shimmer in the air. And that, unfortunately, is where we're going to have to close the session down for the night because we have people trying to kick us out. So welcome to Dead Space.
Oh my god.
Good stuff today, guys. I wish that we could go longer, but we're getting the guy outside is being held off only barely by the alligator alley guys. So yeah, just a little. It's fine. I'm sure there's no problem. It'll be good either way. But thank you guys so much. Wonderful stuff from the players. I'm sorry we couldn't go longer, and I'm sorry that we started late. One quick note: I want to thank the Alligator Alley people, who are super awesome. Thank you to Brian, to Rich, to Eric, to Chris, who's out there. Thank you to the guard, who is kicking us out. No thanks to him. No, it's fine. I understand. And thank you, of course, to our players. I'll go back in the other direction quickly. I'll start with Zach. Zach, good stuff tonight. Sorry that we couldn't go longer, but that will happen soon. How'd you feel about today? Where will the fine people see you next?
I am scared. That's how I'll leave it. You can find me on the internet at my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/ZachClay. I am going to be streaming something tomorrow night, maybe retro game or WoW or something. But yeah. Then Dead Space when we do this
and
again.
Dead Space when we get back to here. Thank you for the Chiarella song. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Zach. Always a pleasure. And we will have you back very soon, of course. Carlos, great stuff tonight. Again, I was really enjoying the super cautiously, like I was like, that was really funny. How'd you feel about tonight, and where will the fine people see your various things that you do next?
Yeah, I'm having tons of fun. I think Sleepwell I'm starting to figure out a little bit how he ticks, and his reactions I think are starting to congeal into a character. So tons of fun. Now we all die. So find me not so much online, but also kind of online. On December 11th, I'm going to be one of the featured readers at the New York Review of Science Fiction. There is going to be a stream that's happening of it at the same time, but if you happen to be a New Yorker, it's going to be at the Brooklyn Commons, and so I'm just going to pop a little link there. This is conducted by the legendary Jim Freund.
Who have you ever been on his radio show, Carlos?
I have.
Yeah, me too. Everyone has been on that show.
Exactly, because it's Jim Freund. And I'll be back on the show in January. But Jim Freund is the master of ceremonies of the New York Review of Science Fiction. And so I'll be there reading with my wife, Claire Cooney, and it will be tons of fun. So please join me there, or join me online there.
Good stuff. Thank you so much, Carlos. Great stuff as always. Of course, Kat was not able to join us today because, as I said, of real life stuff, but she will be back, I have no doubt, with bells on in December, so fear not for that. Last but certainly not least, of course, Johnny, thank you. This was a lot of fun doing this in person.
This was amazing.
So how'd you feel about today, and where will the fine people see you next?
Aramis did absolutely nothing except complained and moaned and groaned and whined, so I feel good about what he's doing. It was a great time. It was actually great to meet you finally. This has been awesome. I love it, and all you guys too. It was fantastic. And they gave me this, which is really freaking cool.
Yeah, the pin. See what happens? See what happens, Carlos? You don't come here and you don't get a pin. See? No pin.
I'm not sure where the fine people are going to see me next. I'm traveling for the next couple of weeks. I will be doing some streams, and then I'll be doing a couple one shots in the middle of December. For here on Arvis channel and also on my own channel, raising money for charity. And then in January, I've got a bunch of stuff happening, including the announced but unspecified new show coming to this channel on Thursdays. So that's where you'll be able to find me. And I'm Video Store Cowboy everywhere except Twitter, where it's Vid Store Cowboy due to some character limits.
Good stuff. Thank you, Johnny. And I promised you all an announcement. I'm going to make that announcement right now before I let these guys go, because it applies to these folks directly also. I'm very pleased to announce that, as you folks know, at Gen Con, I have been running for a couple of years live adventures called Night at the Forbidden Library, and then Return to the Forbidden Library, and then a third as yet untitled portion of the trilogy. I've been doing this for authors. I am very happy to announce that the amazing people at Alligator Alley Entertainment, previously demonstrated as being right here, I am pleased to say that they are going to be publishing that adventure in 3 parts. So they are going to be publishing the Night in the Forbidden Library trilogy. We are going to be running a Kickstarter for it. The timing of it is not yet determined, but it's going to be pretty soon. And so my guess would be probably, shortly after the new year, but I'll leave that up to them. So I'm extremely, extremely excited. These guys do amazing work. You have all seen how good Esper Genesis is, and I'm really, really excited. It is the first of several bits of really awesome publishing news coming my way that I'm happy to start sharing with you. But this is the one that I've been waiting on for a little bit, and I'm super excited about it. And Brian and the crew is amazing, and I cannot wait to get a chance to work with them. So that is going to be happening, and please spread the word, tell your friends and all that stuff, and I will give you more details as I have them. But that is my big announcement. So announcement the first, Johnny's doing a show, a one-shot in December, and then starting to do a campaign in January, which will be bi-weekly. And then the second big announcement is the publication of the Night at the Forbidden Library stuff for D&D 5e. So super, super excited, and I am looking forward to it. So yes, that's the announcement. Thank you all so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brian, for writing this great adventure, by the way, that we're in the midst of right now. Thank you to Rich for designing this game in the first place. Thank you to Eric for being the glue that holds the whole group together. I'm joking. But thank you to everybody who's made this so awesome. And thank you especially to my players who have been great. And chat, you guys have been awesome too. I will see all of you people on Saturday for a video game of some sort, probably Bard's Tale 4. But now I got to get out of here before the guard yells at me and throws me out. So I will see all of you wonderful people soon. Until next time, bye to the players. I'm going to let Carlos and Zach go. So bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. And I'm going to head out myself. Bye for now, everybody. I'll see you all soon.